Hello and welcome to the Game Line, Wales Online's daily rugby debate show. I'm Ben James and we're joined by a very special guest today.
Oh, thank you.
Simon Thomas. We've also got Cardiff Blues and New Zealand legend Xavier Rush. Xavier, welcome to the show.
Morning Ben, morning Simon.
Thank you.
We got a fair bit to discuss. Warren Gatlin's named his team to face Fiji. Let's get straight into it. Two changes in the back row. Area of expertise, James Davis and Ross Moriarty come in. What do you make of those changes, Av?
I think they're fair change. I think Warren's trying to protect the squad a bit. I think Wainwright and Tipuric particularly have played really well. I wouldn't want to risk those two men against the Fijians. I think it's good to rotate your squad. It's a fairly long tournament. I think Moriarty will suit the game against Fiji. It's going to be a physical matchup. It'll suit the physicality he brings to the game. I think James Davis will he'll suit the conditions in Japan. It's a very fast game out there. The humidity plays a big factor. He could be a real nuisance for the Fijians.
Now, you know about the Fijians. You said there's a particular word they don't have in their vocabulary. What's that word?
There's no such word as stress in the Fijian vocabulary, basically. They're a very chilled out bunch and the occasion will not get the better of them.
I suppose James Davis is probably the character, isn't he? We talk about, we always go back to 2007, that game. I think that's all sort of in our minds. And we talk about how you don't want to get sucked into playing the Fijian way. Davis, though, probably quite likes to play the Fijian way.
He does, but I think also James is good over the ball, isn't he? And they'll probably look for him to stop quick ball coming the Fijian way, look for turnovers. But in terms of the threat that Fiji pose, when you play against them, when sides play, what's the key to beating Fiji?
You can't get too unstructured. I think your discipline is crucial. I think you've got to be very how you want to play. You've got to stick to what you want to do and what you want to achieve that day, and don't get sucked into the Fijian way of playing if you can. It's easier said than done. But Wales have kind of followed a particular style for so long now. It's ingrained in this team.
Yes.
It is actually so good to see such a consistent starting lineup for the Welsh team. You know, they've got a real good nucleus of a team here. A couple of subtle changes, and Wales have been playing a certain way now for a while. So whereas in years gone by, I would have feared Fiji a lot more against Wales, but this particular time, I think Wales, they're looking very professional. They're looking very, consistent in what they're doing. I'm hoping Fiji doesn't play too big a part in this game.
Just a reminder, if you are tuning in, Mainline, Wales Online's daily debate show, get your questions in for Zav and for Simon, and they'll answer as many as you can. Going back to Fiji, probably the way we're going to beat them is set piece. Line good, scrum less so, and Fiji had 3 scrums against the tight head against Georgia, so that's a bit ominous, isn't it?
Yeah, it is certainly. Fiji not known for their power scrummaging, really. So it will be an interesting matchup. It's always an interesting matchup. I haven't seen Wales being caused too much trouble over the last few seasons at scrum time. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting because they brought Wyn Jones in. It was a good story. Played nearly 100 games of Llandudno Premiership. He's gone that route through his career, not through an academy. Very much a fringe figure. All of a sudden, he's become a very important man for Wales in this tournament. He's brought a degree of security in the scrum. You've got Thomas Francis on the other side. I mean, you would think that if Wales are going to be strong in any particular game, traditionally, as you say, Fiji's the one. But I think as long as you get parity there, the question is going to be if Wales do progress in the tournament and go further and they play the likes of South Africa, play the likes of England and France, how will the scrum stand up there? Because those France can be a strong scrummaging side, can't they?
Well, yeah, France have shown their power, particularly early in games. They did against Wales in the Six Nations. They did against Argentina early in the competition. They're very good for the first 40 minutes, and then the fitness starts to play a bit of a factor later in the game.
So tell me now, you've been here for so many years. Are you a Wales supporter first or still an All Black supporter first? Come on now.
So Simon, please. Don't make me discipline you on live camera.
I understand.
Moving swiftly on. We got some questions.
That's good.
Here we go. One from Di Spencer, going to the back of the scrum as one of the best number 8s we've ever seen in Welsh rugby. Lovely little compliment there from Di.
Thank you, Di.
What are your honest Ross Moriarty?
Ross Moriarty. You posted a question recently, didn't you, in terms of the competition for the back three in
Yes.
in the Wales team. And my verdict was Navidi would be a certainty. I said Wainwright would be a certainty. I said the third spot would depend on who's in form, really.
Yeah.
And that's still my verdict today. I think I suppose I'm looking at Navidi. He looks so comfortable out there at the minute at test match level. He looks so comfortable,
So consistent, isn't he?
so consistent. You know what you're going to get week in, week out. Wainwright, I've been so impressed with. He stood out in those two Irish games and kind of put his hand up pre World Cup against Australia. I thought he was outstanding. In fact, I wouldn't have subbed him when they subbed him. I thought he still had another 10, 15 minutes of juice in him. He was playing so well. However, in saying that, Moriarty is, he can add something a bit different. I think I like him coming off the bench, to be honest, in that last sort of 20 minutes. If you do need a little change up, or you need someone to have a big carry or make a big tackle, he's a great guy to come in and do that. But in general, I like the way the coaching staff are controlling their back row.
It's good to have that competition, though, isn't it?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course it is. Definitely.
So speaking about competition, we got a lot of questions here. One from Rob Norman, one from Anthony Clifford, talking about rotation. Should we have maybe made more than 2 changes for this match? Should we have rested someone like Alan Wynne-Jones, perhaps?
He wouldn't want to rest, would he?
Yeah. You try pulling him off. I think you can run a real big risk in doing that and taking the Fijians too lightly. If there's one team out there you do not want to take lightly, it is Fiji. The other important factor to note in this World Cup is how big humidity, how big a area humidity is, and how teams are kind of flagging a little bit in the second half. I played a lot of rugby in Brisbane, and Brisbane's very similar
Humidity.
Yes, very similar conditions to what they'll be facing in Japan. And after 50, 60 minutes, I was zapped. I was absolutely. You could be as fit as you wanted to be. That humidity, it takes a while to get used to it. And I can see now why Gatlin has obviously, well, he's always put in such big work, but why he's selected certain players, maybe left a Samson Lee and a Rob Evans behind and gone for a more versatile, kind of faster, kind of type 5.
That's interesting, yeah.
Okay, one final question on Fiji before we move on. Just putting your neck on the line. What's your score prediction? That comes from David Hughes.
David
Hughes. I think it's going to be quite a close game. Fiji's got absolutely everything to play for here. This is their final. They're building it up as a final. However, I think late in the game, I think the last 20, 30 minutes, I think Wales will just have the edge fitness-wise. These guys are big guys. Gatlin's got the team in superb nick. I think it'll be somewhere around about 27-13 or something like that.
That'll do. We'll take that.
We'll take that. Nice and comfortable. No late rewrites from that.
Easy match report.
So that's what Simon had to say about the match. But Warren Gatlin's also been talking about Fiji. Here's what he had to say earlier this morning.
Trying to really still think about the bigger picture in terms of hopefully later on in the tournament, so a couple of players get an opportunity, and Ross Moriarty coming back, and he's hungry, and then James Davis as well at 7. We've been really happy with Justin Tipurick's form, but it just gives us an opportunity to look at someone else if for any sort of reason he does pick up an injury. It shows us whether James can fit into that spot, or someone like Josh Navidi, we know he can play 7 as well. So the 2 guys that are very hungry for an opportunity, and Reece Curry comes on the bench as well, so we're keeping everyone on their toes a little bit. And I did say to James when I congratulated him, said well done, and his reply was, "You finally seen the light, have you?" So he said, "I'm only joking." So and I loved that. I thought it was brilliant. What a great response. I love a bit of banter like that, and I have no problem with comments like that. And it just says to me, players believe in their own ability and they want to be in the squad, and they think they're good enough to be in the starting side. So I thought it was a really good response. So a lot of the same players and just a couple of changes.
Gatlin had to say about that. Let's move on to sort of broader topics in the World Cup. I suppose there's been one sort of thing that's dominated headlines, and that's the officiating. I think we've got a question here for you, Xavier, from Craig Evans. What do you make of the controversy around high tackles? Have things gone too far?
Here we go.
Yeah, where do you start this one? Obviously, I'm not going to blame referees at all, because these are the rules that have been handed to them post tournament. So they are just officiating what they have to officiate. Player safety is also a big part of it. Well, it's a huge part of it. So. There's a balance to be met somewhere in here. At the moment, it's not being met in my eyes. I think the punishments are too severe for the crimes. I looked at the Argentinian lock on on the weekend, and I looked at that tackle. Nigel Owen saw it in real time. He said, "There's no foul play here, play on." They went back to it after 5 or 6, slow motion replays. The shoulder did hit the chin, but Farrell was dancing. He was in a crouched position when contact was made. There's so many factors to weigh in there. And all of a sudden, Argentina's whole hopes have gone. A full stadiums who have turned up to watch an amazing game of rugby. They're all a bit dejected. England are obviously over the moon, but I just don't think. I think something that would be fair is, okay, if he gets a red card for such a tackle, okay, he's off for 10 minutes. He can't come back on, but maybe he could be replaced. Do you know what I mean? So that the whole game isn't just a dead rubber. If something like that was to happen, he's getting maximum penalty for what he's done there, but you're not affecting the other 30 guys on the field.
Maybe punish the individual rather than the team.
The full stadium and the 300 million people watching around the world.
You're off. You can't play anymore. Game. You'll get a suspension.
Yes,
but your team still keeps 15 players
after 10 minutes. So
I see.
After 10 minutes,
or maybe 15. Whatever you think about, whatever.
I think 10 minutes is enough, because it's at the minute the referees are impacting the game of rugby more than what any of us would like.
Do you feel sorry for the refs?
Yeah, I do. 100% I do, and I'm not blaming the refs. I'm not blaming the refs one bit. In fact, I think there's been some really amazing refereeing performances where they're trying to show leniency to a degree, and I just think I think there also has to be. I know I'll be laughed at now, but there has to be some kind of common sense shown. Exactly. But you've got a player there who's 6'9", tackling a guy who's crouching, who is probably about 5'5", crouching
when he goes down.
Yeah. When contact is made. And I was listening to Steve Hansen this morning. He was saying, we're obviously the biggest area we're working on is when a player is falling or crouching pre contact. And he said, you can have the best tackle technique in the world, but you're still going to be suspect to the rules, because there's no leniency. You can still get it wrong a little bit, and all of a sudden, your whole nation's hopes are gone. And one refereeing decision, and let's be honest, it's not massive. It's not real foul play. It's a slight
timing issue.
It's in real time. You got a dancing number 10. You got a big guy. The rugby's a game for everybody. So you got a big guy who's 6'10" coming in to make a tackle, gets it just marginally wrong. Marginally that Nigel Owen couldn't pick it up in real time. Yeah. So and then all of a sudden, his whole team's basically packing their bags and they're back home to Argentina.
If you were playing now, would you pick up a few reds and yellows the way
I picked up 2 in my whole career?
2 yellows or 2 reds?
I picked up 1 red, one of each.
Cool. Wasn't it?
That wasn't foul. It was reckless. It wasn't foul, and I picked up one of. I wasn't a dirty player.
When you say reckless, Xavier, what did you do exactly?
Well, I just came in far too fast to what my skill level could kind of cope with. To be completely honest with you, I was like Bolt trying to make a tackle, and just got it horribly wrong. I should have had 10 red cards for it, but I'm not going to argue that one.
But would you have not liked to be playing under these current guidelines?
I think at the minute it's getting towards impossible to play and very, very, very hard to ref. That's our starting point for most games.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to play because these are the best in the world. And these guys are getting it wrong on a regular basis.
Well, there's been 5 red cards, which is the most at any tournament. We've still got 19 matches to play.
Yeah, and what happens in the final, the semi-final, or something where one of these slight tackle errors cost a nation the whole tournament. The game's over. You know, it's I don't think it's fair. I don't think the crimes are deserving the punishments currently.
It's interesting. It's a big talking point, isn't it?
It is indeed. We'll start talking about rugby again, I guess.
It's such a big part of rugby.
Well,
isn't it?
even at half time, the whole topic at half time in the England-Argentina game was, is this something rugby has to go through? Well, no, it's not. It's not. We don't have to wreck the game to change the rule, to have a bit of empathy, you know. in my views.
No,
in my views.
Yeah. So we'll touch on the All Blacks because they're not looking too bad, are they?
Yeah, looking all right. I to be honest, I thought the one big game I've seen the All Blacks play, I haven't paid a lot of attention to the last two because they were kind of, I knew what the result would be. I think we all kind of did. But against South Africa, I thought South Africa put them under huge pressure for the first 20 minutes. Huge pressure. And I know Ireland, I know England and Wales can because they all defend the same way, can really put the All Blacks under that type of pressure. The All Blacks have the ability to turn nothing into something from out of nowhere, and they showed that in that match, and they'll keep trying to do that for 80 minutes. I think South Africa won't be as consistent at putting teams under pressure as say an Ireland would be, or a Wales would be, or maybe an England would be. So those 3 teams could actually maintain that pressure for longer. So the All Blacks are looking good. I'm slightly concerned because of the way other teams defend. We haven't really, we kind of defend how we've always traditionally defended. Whereas these days you see a lot of league type defences, and you can see that by the coaching staff and certain setups. So I still think it's anybody's tournament. I think Ireland have beaten the All Blacks the last 2 times they've played the All Blacks, and to me, even they lost to Japan, are still a threat versus the All Blacks.
It's going to be fascinating because they've lost to Australia this year, New Zealand as well. There's a draw against South Africa, stressed against South Africa. But if I was putting money on, I'd still put money on the All Blacks because you tend to win quite a few games, don't you? But it's not cut and dried, is it?
Well, put it this way: would you put money on them at £1.30, or would you put money on Ireland paying £10? I don't think they're 10 times better.
Value? Yeah.
That's how I see it.
That's a good point.
I suppose we got a question here from Mark Smith, which probably comes on quite nicely from whenever the All Blacks are looking good, and that's, are France the complete shambles they seem? Because whenever the All Blacks are looking good at a World Cup, France somehow manage to do something.
Stories we're hearing. We've had Mourad Boujadel, the Toulon president, coming out and urging the players to take charge themselves. You've got questions about who's running the show. What is it about French rugby, though?
Oh, this is just World Cup time, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Why are we surprised? You get them together for more than 2 weeks and they take control. But normally in the Six Nations, it's week to week. You get them abroad. Well, it's just the way it goes, doesn't it? They seem to have these player revolts. It doesn't seem to affect anything.
No, they get better sometimes.
And in fact, it seems to kind of pull them together.
I know, galvanise
them. And I can see why it would. If all of a sudden all the players have got the strings, well, you better get it right.
That's right.
Again, a lot of comments coming in. A lot of people agreeing with you. Lawrence Carr says it's a good idea with the red card. Wayne Sykes says Xavier is brilliant.
Oh,
very nice. Carl Williams thinks Wales will be too strong, but he thinks George North needs to look for more work in midfield. That's just taking ball off the number 8, isn't it? In midfield,
but basically,
yeah, pretty much, yeah. Malcolm Stevens asked, "How's the hair business going?" Of Martin Williams and Tom Shanklin being in touch yet?
Too far gone. Tom Shanklin's,
you don't do miracles.
Tom Shanklin's hair is invisible, even the hair he's got, and Martin Williams' hair is so strong because it's that lovely gold texture. I'd need my best chisel to get that out.
How's the business going? Going well?
Really well, actually, really well. We're just about full between now and Christmas. We've got a few slots available, but they are filling very, very quickly. There's been a really good reaction. Again, I think there was a piece out over the weekend with the surgeon Gatlin I've just partnered with. He's done most of his work on Harley Street. He is local though. He is a Welshman, so he's much happier sort of staying in Cardiff and performing here, so he's closer to home. So we've brought a fabulous team on board here, and it's going very well. I'm looking forward to start seeing the results walking out the door shortly.
But not Nugget over Shanks.
Well, Shanks is vain enough. You know, Nugget isn't vain enough. But Shanks has that transparent hair, so it's like you can put as much of that on as you want, it'll still be invisible.
Well, Shanks is starting to get the TV work. That's good advertising there.
Well, could be, it couldn't be.
Right, I think that's it. Game line. Fine, I guess the ideal scenario is a Wales-New Zealand final, but who would you back?
Oh, it'd be so scary. Do you know, I remember in 2011 when that was on the cards, I was petrified. Honestly, I was. Being a Kiwi living amongst you Welsh people who still go on about the 1970s, the Andy Hayden line out where he jumped out of 1978, was it?
1978.
It was 78.
Still hurts.
Yeah, well, it still hurts, and fair enough. It was bad acting from Andy, wasn't it? But it does petrify me. But it's on the cards again. It is on the cards. Wales are playing. That first half against Australia was possibly the best 40 I've seen from the Welsh team. I was stunned. They just looked amazing. And they'll get stronger as they get more used to the conditions in Japan. So it is on the cards. I'd be terrified to watch.
He's hoping it comes off. That's it. A massive thank you to Xavier for joining us.
Cheers, Ben.
As always.
Cheers, Simon.
You can catch us back again tomorrow, the same time, same place. But until then, get all the latest news on Welsh rugby on Wales Online.